They say that records are meant to be broken.
And at the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026, that is exactly what happened.
What about that?
On this episode of Aramco Power Performances, we take a look at some of the incredible records that were smashed across the tournament
as we celebrate the record breakers. Records would tumble at a rate of knots across the 2026 ICC Men's T20 World Cup,
with the charge to create history led by eventual winners of the competition, India.
The crowd are loving the power. It is pinging off their bats.
India's campaign would see them score the most team runs ever recorded in the tournament's 19-year history. Not only that, but they also finished with both the best boundary rate ever and the most team sixes throughout a single edition.
Oh, that's big.
But it wouldn't just be the world champions who would be setting new standards at the event. Records were consistently falling across India and Sri Lanka, and one record in particular that was absolutely obliterated was by Finn Allen in the semi-final against South Africa.
And bingo! It's the fastest T20 100 in the World Cup ever for the man, Finn Allen.
Allen would score a mind-blowing century in just 33 balls, shattering the record set by Chris Gayle 10 years earlier by 14 deliveries.
This innings has been unbelievable.
Finn Allen was imperious throughout the tournament as he would also forge a formidable opening partnership with Tim Seifert. The pair would put on 494 runs together throughout the tournament, the outright most by any duo in a single edition of the competition. It would also be a T20 World Cup to remember for Pakistan's Sahibzada Farhan, who would end his debut ICC event breaking the all-time individual tournament run-scoring record for a single edition of the T20 World Cup with 383 runs.
Farhan also became the first person to score 2 centuries in the same T20 World Cup, putting both Namibia and Sri Lanka to the sword to finally announce himself on cricket's biggest stage.
The celebrations begin. What a tournament is that?
There were 7 centuries in total scored at the 2026 T20 World Cup, by far the most ever in a single edition of the competition, and as many as the previous 5 World Cups combined. One of these 7 centuries would break records in its own right, as Canada's Yuvraj Samra would become the youngest ever centurion at a T20 World Cup, and also the first associate cricketer to score a century at the competition, after the 19-year-old smoked an inspiring 110 of just 65 deliveries against New Zealand in Chennai.
The joy to behold of Yuvraj Samra, 19! That's it, folks, a teenager.
And it wouldn't just be with the bat where the records would fall. The record for the most catches taken by an outfielder at a T20 World Cup would also fall, as the man considered by many as the best fielder in the world, New Zealand's Glenn Phillips, would take 11 catches throughout the tournament.
Brilliant catch! That is a great catch.
If Phillips is the best in the field, then you wouldn't have to look much further than Jasprit Bumrah as the best in the world with the ball.
Jasprit Bumrah, the magician, does it.
His 14 wickets throughout the tournament would blast him to joint top of the wicket-taking table and would also elevate him to the position of the leading fast bowler ever in a T20 World Cup, overtaking Lasith Malinga with 40 wickets now in 5 editions.
When you miss against Bumrah, you are in trouble.
India's appetite for breaking records in 2026 would continue all the way to the final, as Sanju Samson would sign off on an unbelievable tournament with a score of 89, the highest score ever in the final.
That knock would also include 8 sixes that would also power him to the record of most maximums hit for a single player during a T20 World Cup. These two impressive records would eventually lead to Samson being crowned the Aramco Player of the Tournament.
Sanju Special Samson will get a standing ovation.
The incredible tournament would eventually finish with India beating New Zealand in front of 86,000 people in Ahmedabad.
Comprehensive win for India. They have absolutely dominated.
The victory would ensure that the most important record of them all had been broken.
India being crowned the first three-time champions of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup.
It's India who win the World Cup for the third time.
Join us next time for another episode of Aramco Power Performances.